We're getting ready to step inside the forest, and I'm going to tell you an amazing story. We're going in there anyway. I've got an amazing story for you. It's an amazing follow-up story to probably the most amazing video footage we've ever captured here on our homestead to date. From just a few days ago, a collection of footage over several days. But before we step inside the forest line there, I just wanted to give you a panoramic view of the homestead I've got this morning here. Gorgeous. Let's go right in here. So, we've got several things going on here today. Several stories kind of wrapped up into one. And I'm out here early. It's just after 7 a.m. right now as I'm making this video because I've got a big day planned. I've got some folks coming over to do some work on the house. And several videos are going to be produced this weekend. But first, follow up. A lot of folks who watch this channel regularly and who see a lot of things in the background and hear a lot of these stories complain, rightly so at times, that I don't do appropriate follow-up. Well, here's a story. They're very active out here. It's springtime, very active time of year. So, the last video we made, if you didn't see it, go watch it. It's called Unexplainable Changes in Landscape Lead to Video Investigation Which Yields Spine-Tingling Results. Okay, another question I'm asked. Where do you come up with these titles? I don't know. I just do. But that's the title. But in that video, we clearly captured, without, this is no still imagery, this is no splicing and dicing, actual moving footage of actual moving something. Appeared to be sawgrass. In the background appeared to be several clumps of sawgrass, at times appearing from out of nowhere. Here's my follow-up. What was my reaction after I saw that video, put it together, uploaded it, published it on the channel, got your feedback? So many of you saw the same thing. I went into my garage, grabbed my weed eater, filled it up, started it up, ran up here into the meadow and just started cutting down all the dried sawgrass I came across. How effective was it? Lasted about a minute and my weed eater died. Okay, this was a weed eater that I bought last year at Lowe's, a 25cc 2-cycle engine Craftsman. I guess Sears went out of business. Good riddance in my humble opinion. Sears' downfall, by the way, was when the baby boomers took control and started charging for the Wish book. This back in the 80s. Before this, many of you will remember Sears sent out for free to everybody in the mail that big thick catalog. Going back to the days of when people had outhouses. You'd sit out there in the outhouse, you'd look at the wish list, and after you saw that one thing you liked 13 times, you'd go down to Sears and you'd buy it. Well, the baby boomers took over, and in proper baby boomer way, they said, hey, we can make more money off of this. Let's stop giving this away and charge $5 for it. Well, guess what happened? People weren't going to pay $5 for something that was always free in the past. So the Wish book stopped going to every household in America. People stopped viewing that item they were fantasizing about 13 times, and they quit going into the store and buying it. Greed. I mean, and then bam, Sears is gone. Okay, so anyway, Lowe's bought Craftsman, I guess, so I ended up buying this Craftsman weed eater. I'm going to change my position. Give me 1 second. Okay, guys, we're a lot closer. I moved up the hill about 20 yards. I was comfortable in my chair. Now I'm sitting on wet leaves. This wasn't part of the plan. I planned on just telling stories, not creating a new one here, but keep your eyes open. Get my 6. Particularly right up in here and over in here. Okay, so anyway, I come up with the Craftsman weed eater. Got it just last year. I've never had a problem with this weed eater. Okay, it does its job, it does it well. After about a minute worth of cutting down the dried sawgrass up here in the meadow where we recorded the last part of that video, over several days we recorded that video, the engine just stops. It dies. Kapooey, kaput. That's it. I tried to start it, wouldn't start. So I said, well, no problem, I've got backup. I have a really nice Troy-Bilt 4-cylinder weed eater, a $200, maybe I think $229.99, $230 weed eater I bought 2 or 3 years ago. The reason I use the Craftsman first in most cases, at least since I bought it, is because it's smaller and it's lighter. Those things get heavy, they get bulky. I've got a lot of trimming to do around here. A lot of it isn't necessary, but I just really believe that your surroundings says a lot about your inside. You know, the way you keep your surroundings. Just I like to be neat and orderly and make it look like I have a little bit of dignity and self-respect. So I know I go overboard with making our lawn look like we live on a resort, which we don't, but it, you know, plus we went for many years without having much of anything, and now that we have something, just the amount of gratitude, I guess, I'm kind of getting off track here, but I'm very grateful for everything I have in my life. I'm grateful for my wife, I'm grateful for my son, I'm grateful that we have more food than we can eat, we have a wonderful house and a beautiful lawn outside, so we beautify it. Okay, end of story. But anyway, this Troy-Bilt is much heavier. I go and get it anyway. I figure, well, I'll figure out what's going on with the Craftsman here in a bit, but I've got some sawgrass to cut down. So I come out, start the Troy-Bilt. Okay, here's number 2 about the Troy-Bilt. Not only is it a very high quality weed eater, I've used it in videos. I made a video a couple of years ago where I show how to put the string in it. It's supposed to be a simple process, but it's not as simple as they had originally designed. So I found a shortcut, shared that with hundreds of thousands of people here on YouTube. But last summer, I actually had it serviced. I had my Troy-Bilt 17.5 horsepower pony riding mower and this weed eater serviced by a professional small engine guy. When he brought it back, it was running like new, okay? Same thing, I brought it up into the meadow, started it up, started cutting up the sawgrass in less than a minute. I know they call me Crazy Lake, but I'm telling you right there, rewind and listen with earbuds, I heard a growl, either a grunt or a growl. Okay, same thing happens. Engine dies, kaput, kapooey. Try to restart it, it won't start. So I took it back down to the garage. I could not get either one of these weed eaters to restart. I had not been having any problems with either one of them. I've been using them, you know, well, that was the first time I'd used a Troy-Bilt this year. I'd used the Craftsman several times already this year. So, I mean, I put it together in my head. It doesn't take a genius to figure out. There's something up here that doesn't want that sawgrass cut. I don't know if it's as much that it doesn't want the sawgrass cut as much as it was that it took offense to the fact that I was trying to cut the sawgrass after having seen what we saw, which you saw in that video. If you missed it, go watch it. It's almost as if he, she, it, or they was saying, how dare you? Here we are living symbiotically with you. That's the word I was looking for in another video. So here we are living at peace with you. We did not invade your space, you invaded ours. So what if every now and then you see some things that are freaky by your little dweebly human being standards? Have we ever tried to harm you? You know, the answer of course is no. And so guys, I'm convinced if you have these things on your property, if you live within close proximity to them, or I don't even know if this is what it is, but it's potentially something of paranormal nature, if not this. And I'm not saying Bigfoot Sasquatch is paranormal in nature. I don't know. Listen, you know who some of the most dangerous people I've met in this world are? Those are the people who think they know, the ones who are convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt. There's a physicist. I saw his little infomercial on YouTube here recently. It came on as an ad. The guy was brilliant. He said, one of the most dangerous things about any subject matter is knowing enough about that subject matter to think you're right, but not knowing enough about that subject matter to know you're not. Brilliantly put. And you know, I got some guys coming over to fix some stuff on the house today, thousands of dollars worth of plumbing repairs, because somebody who convinced me several years ago they knew how to fix something, the little problem I had, actually didn't know quite as much as they thought they did about that problem and so many of the other things they claim to know so much about. And further damage was done because I took them at their word at face value. No, I don't begrudge the person. I know they were just trying to help, and at the time I didn't have the means to bring in the professionals and fix it. So this guy's help got me through until a point where I could bring in the professionals to do it correctly. It's going to cost me quite a bit more because of further damage that was done, but I begrudge him not. But this is the point. My point of this is that point. When somebody says, oh, you've got Bigfoot Sasquatch and it's not paranormal related, or no, it's not Bigfoot Sasquatch, it's Indian spirits, it's Civil War ghosts, it's this, it's that, I don't know. Because we've seen so many strange things here. We've had so many odd occurrences. I just simply don't know. But I am leaning towards feeling like I know this. They don't want to hurt us. They would have by now. I need to stop panicking, freaking out, running away when I get right up on them, and definitely don't be bringing weed eaters up here and trying to cut down physical forms, in this case sawgrass, that they've used to show me their existence. It was disrespectful. And they destroyed 2 weed eaters. So today, and one of the reasons I'm here making this video at 7 o'clock in the morning is because I went to Lowe's yesterday and bought a brand new weed eater. This is the 3rd weed eater I bought in 3 years, maybe 4 years. Completely abnormal and an unnecessary expenditure of money under normal circumstances. But as you've seen from these videos, these are not normal circumstances. So I'm planning on making an unboxing, assembling, and testing video. I mean, what like they say in politics, never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, never let the need arising to buy a new power tool go to waste. Why not make an unboxing and a testing video? So I'm gonna do that later today after the guys come and fix some stuff and then leave. But I'm gonna tell you this: I will not be bringing that weed eater up here to cut down any sawgrass. Okay, that was obviously a disrespectful act. He, she, it, or they probably could have harmed me, but he, she, it, or they did not. Other than some crazy zaps that we get from time to time and sending out their watchers to keep an eye on us, making sure we don't have any weed eaters out here with us. You know, those zaps, sometimes they're light, and I do my best to ignore them, and it's strange whenever I do, it's like they hit me harder. They're offended that I don't acknowledge them when they're trying to get my attention. So anyway, when I was at Lowe's, and I'm going to wrap this up with this story because this is crazy, and this is kind of the story I came out here to tell you too, aside from the follow-up to the creepy strawgrass movement. I was in Lowe's. They have wonderful people there that work at the Lowe's where I go. This guy comes up, "Do you need any help, sir?" I said, "Well, I'm just trying to get a weed eater." So and I asked him, this weed eater I got, it's called a Boland's. I'd never heard of it. I mean, you can get them for as little as like $70. I got one that's a little more pricey. It was like $99 because it was a little bit bigger. The cheapest of the cheapos wasn't quite big enough for me. My arm's a little bit too long. So anyway, talking to this guy, and he's telling me about the Boland's. Turns out he has one. He has 5 acres. I'm not going to say where, but it's somewhere south of where I am, and it's on the James River. And I start talking to him. Oh, that's like my fantasy, to have land on the James River, build a cabin on the James River. And I told him we had a place out in the country very similar. We have deer and all these things, and he's asked me, "Do you ever have turkeys?" Yeah, we have turkeys come up and roost in this big oak tree that's off to my right here that you guys just can't see. I said, "We even have Bigfoot Sasquatch," and he laughs. He says, "Yeah, I got a Bigfoot Sasquatch." And he stops. He says, "Well," or I mean a cougar, maybe a cougar. And then we keep talking about weed eaters. We're talking. The similarities between me and this guy are amazing. Now, he's about 12 years younger than me. No, 14 years younger. He's actually my wife's age. Turns out his wife is a Filipina. This guy was in the Air Force. He was stationed in England, met his wife, who was from the Philippines, but was in England on a work permit. So they've been married 10 years, like my wife and I, but they just recently had their first kid. So we get to talking, I pick out the weed eater with his help, and then I'm about ready to leave, and I say, no, come on, you were telling me about this Bigfoot. I said, I've seen some really strange things at my place, and I shared some with him, some small examples. I said, have you really ever seen anything at your place? And he says, yeah, and he tells me that about this time last year, he was in his backyard down by the river, about 100 yards away from his house. He has a big property, and he was having a few beers at his campfire out back. And his wife comes out to tell him to come in the house. He said she never goes out there with him. He said she's very superstitious, doesn't like being outside in the middle of nowhere at night in the dark, and always had a creepy feeling down there. So he's out there. They've got a little pug, a dog. The pug's sleeping right beside him by the fire. The wife comes out to tell him to come in, and he says, okay, let me finish this beer and I'll come in. And the wife just looks up and she freezes. So he looks up. I'm getting goosebumps retelling this story because I could see the fear in his eyes when he told it. So he looks across the campfire and he sees these yellow eyes about 20 yards past the campfire, certainly far enough away from the fire to where there shouldn't have been any light being thrown from the fire to highlight anything at that distance. Yet these yellow eyes were shining, they were bright, and he said they were about 8 feet off the ground. And I said, what'd you do? He said, well, I had the dog on the left. He said, I had a .45 on the right, a handgun. He said he picked it up, he aimed at the eyes and shot it. He said, I shot whatever that thing was right in the face. He said the lights disappeared. Several seconds went by, we heard a twig snap, and then the eyes showed up again half the distance away. He said, I thought I'd shot it in the face. Obviously, I missed. So he held the gun up, aimed at the eyes, brought the gun down about a foot, pulled the trigger again to shoot it in the chest. He said the eyes went out, and then he heard what sounded like somebody, in his own words, he described it as taking wooden pallets out of the back of a truck and throwing them down the hill as this thing went crashing over the hillside down towards the river and made a tremendous splash into the water. I asked him if he ever found it. Did he find blood? Did he find anything? He said no, he found nothing. He said the next day he went out, he looked, he found no hair, no blood, no nothing, no tracks that could be recognizable, no distinctly clear. We got something moving in on us here, guys. I'm gonna have to wrap this up and get out of here. So here's the craziest part. He said he called the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, Forest Department, whoever. I don't think they like us talking about what we're talking about right now. So he said he told them that he saw a cougar and he shot at a cougar. They told him there are no cougars in this area, and he said he knows there's not supposed to be cougars in this area, but he could swear he saw a cougar. He felt it was coming towards him, his wife, and his dog, so he shot at it. He says he believes he hit it. Could they please come check? They said, sorry sir, thanks for the call, but we're not going to waste our time to come to check. He said within hours there were trucks out there with hunters in the back canvassing that area, and they stayed out there for days. They were looking for something that supposedly doesn't exist and isn't there. And I have every reason to believe we might not be talking about a cougar. Hope you enjoyed these stories here today at the PBS the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch show.